This mom welcomed her son's bride with a warm and cheerful smile. Then she held the girl's hands and told her, "This would be a beautiful beginning for you." But that was when she spotted a rare but familiar birthmark on the girl's hand. Immediately when she saw it, she froze. Could this girl be who she thinks she is? 60-year-old Mallory lived far away from her son, Jace, ever since the boy moved to New York 4 years ago. The two hadn't set eyes on each other. In the first few months of Jace's departure, the two spent long hours on the phone. But as months passed, the call time decreased because Jace got very busy with work. Sometimes he even promised to visit, but he never found the time to do that. Mallory missed her son so badly, but she knew he had to live his life. However, one thing made her worry, you see. Jace had told her he lived all alone in a big apartment, so she feared he would be lonely. Jace was an introvert, so Mallory knew he would find it hard to make friends with the neighbors. Even though all these worries kept Mallory up at night, she never showed it to her son. Then one day, a year after Jace arrived in New York, he called to say he had found a beautiful and nice girlfriend, Olivia, whom he loved to pieces. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification bell for more amazing stories. Those words were like music to Mallory's ears. Jace had never told her about any girl, so she knew this one was special. But there was actually more to this girl's story than meets the eye. A few years later, Jace informed Mallory he had asked Olivia to marry him, and they had already fixed a wedding date. The news gladdened Mallory, and she started preparing immediately. She bought several gifts for the couple, and even penned down beautiful words she wanted to say to her daughter-in-law. But soon, all of these would be the least of her worries. Jason and Olivia decided they would travel home to have the wedding. When they informed Mallory, she was glad she didn't have to travel so far, although it also meant she had to work very hard to put everything in place for the wedding. She didn't mind. She did all that was required of her willingly and happily. Unfortunately, something tragic would soon threaten this woman's ecstasy. Soon, this wedding day came, and Mallory wore her best dress as she walked elegantly to the wedding venue, oblivious to the catastrophe that was lurking behind. Even though Mallory had spoken severally to Olivia on the phone, she hadn't even seen her pictures, so she couldn't wait to see the damsel her son was about to have for a wife. When Mallory got to the venue, she spotted her son, dashed towards him, and hugged him tenderly. She was very proud of him, but the next person she saw soon ruined this blissful moment. Mallory was still cupping her son's face when she felt someone's hands around her. Turning, she saw someone who could pass for the most beautiful woman ever dressed in a white flowing gown. The girl flashed a happy smile and said, "It's Olivia." Mallory replied, "Of course, only the bride wears white." "You are so beautiful, honey." She then grabbed her hands and was about to say some sweet nothings when her eyes caught something that made her freeze. Now, her whole world was about to melt into tears. Holding the girl's hand, Mallory spotted a very familiar mark. She was so terrified that her hands started to shake. Olivia, now worried, quickly asked if there was a problem. "Nothing at all," Mallory said, and continued staring at the birthmark. It was the exact mark that was on her biological daughter's hands before she went missing. Mallory hadn't seen her daughter in years, and every hurtful feeling she had suppressed resurfaced powerfully. Then she took Olivia's hand and stared deeply into her questioning eyes. As she peered, Mallory thought to herself. The more she stared, she noticed more striking similarities between this bride and her long-lost daughter. The eyes, lips, brows, everything was just like that of her little girl. But Mallory knew the only thing that could help her now wasn't the inner conviction she was feeling. She needed more than that. She needed proof. She couldn't even dare say anything that could jeopardize the wedding, especially when there was no proof yet. Mallory knew Olivia meant a lot to her son, but she couldn't keep quiet. The truth, if there was any at all, had to be unveiled. So Mallory asked Olivia where her parents were seated, and the girl walked her there. If there was anything to be uncovered, then Olivia's parents would know about it. After the family exchanged greetings, Mallory asked if she could speak with the parents in private. She didn't know how Olivia's parents would perceive her after saying what she had in mind, but now that she had come very close to the truth, nothing else mattered. So Mallory took a very deep breath and softly asked them if they had adopted Olivia. Immediately the couple heard this. Their faces turned red. How did this woman know? They had never told anyone the truth about Olivia. The couple glanced over at each other and silently communicated with their eyes. Then Olivia's mother said something that intensified Mallory's fears. Yes, we adopted our beloved Olivia. Mallory didn't even wait for what they had to say next. She started panting really hard and asked, "Do you know her parents? How was she adopted? How old was she then?" She grabbed Olivia's mother's hands and squeezed them desperately. How was she adopted? What's her story? She asked again. Now Olivia's parents knew something was wrong. Was this woman some kind of detective? Whatever the case may be, they couldn't hide the truth anymore, so they let it all out. They told Mallory they had found Olivia on the street and took her in. Although they had reported to the police station, no one came forward, so they legally adopted her. Mallory was dumbfounded when she heard all this, and she burst into tears. She knew the moment she looked into Olivia's eyes that she was her missing daughter. One more revelation would soon confirm her suspicion. While his parents discussed, none of them knew Olivia was paying attention. At first, she watched from a distance, but when Mallory started crying, she moved closer to them and eavesdropped. Olivia then heard Mallory when she said, "My biological daughter went missing 20 years ago while we were on a family vacation in Alabama. She has the exact birthmark on Olivia's hands. Her voice, lips, eyes, everything looks just like my little girl." "Did you just say Alabama?" "That's where we found Olivia." When Olivia heard her mom's words, she couldn't hold herself back anymore, and she screamed so loudly and ran towards them. A day she thought would be her happiest was about to turn into a nightmare. If this woman was indeed her biological mom, then that only meant she was Jace's sister, and there would be no wedding. "Is this true? I was adopted?" Olivia said with tear-filled eyes as she approached them. Then Olivia's parents said, "Oh, sweetheart, we didn't mean you to find out this way. We found you in Alabama. We looked for your parents, but no one came forward. We couldn't leave you behind, baby. We are so sorry." Still in shock, Olivia turned and faced the woman who everyone now said was her birth mother. Looking closely, she saw how much she truly looked like her. Mallory was the first to speak. "Even when I thought the worst had happened, I still waited for you. I have yearned so long for this day. I kept hoping I would set my eyes on you again. I am so sorry, baby." Mallory wept and held Olivia's hands. Even though she was just meeting Mallory, Olivia couldn't stand her crying, so she held her arms out and the two wept. It was a happy, sad reunion. But there was just one question to be answered. What would happen to the bride and the groom? Amid this confusion, someone joined the group and suddenly spoke. It was Jace. "Is there something I'm missing?" he said. Immediately, Olivia saw him. She ran to him and wept bitterly on his shoulder. "We can no longer get married. Your mom is also my mom. I'm so sorry. I want you to know I really love you, even though this wedding has to end." But while Olivia was expecting Jace to flare up, he smiled, held her hands and said, "We can still be together, my love." Olivia was now so confused. As much as she loved Jace, she could never get married to her brother. You see, although Jace had told Olivia everything about himself, there was one thing he left out, and that's the only reason why the story took a different direction. At that moment, Jace revealed he wasn't Mallory's biological son. When I lost you, I took Jace in and loved him just like any mother should. It will be my greatest gift and joy to see you both joined in holy matrimony, Mallory said with joyful tears in her eyes. Everyone was happy at the turnout of the event, and to confirm their speculation, Olivia and Mallory took a DNA test, and the results showed Mallory was indeed Olivia's mother. How beautiful. The wedding went on as planned, and it was also a big reunion. Everyone was happy, binding bonds through beautiful tales. Thank you for watching.